Hey there everyone, how's it going? And welcome to my KSP tutorial series. Yeah, that's right. I've been planning on doing these for a little while now, and basically what they're going to be is going to be shorter episodes, like 10 to 15 minutes. Not really any messing around. I sort of have things planned out for how I want to do them. So we'll start off in the first episode with just the very basics, and well, the most very basic is the start screen here. So there are a few options, things you can do right off the start, which will help your KSP fun go to the next level. That was a really lame statement. Anyways, so you can check out the KSP community and the spaceport. So the forums and all that, and where all the mods are and all those cool things. This will pop up a new window. It'll pop up in your browser. So I'm not gonna do that here because there's no point. But yeah, check those out. Definitely check them out because there's some really cool things on there. We got the credits, pretty cool ending cinematic type thing. Don't really need to watch that. But you know, if you have the time, you should. Anyway, and then settings. A few things in the settings I did want to talk about. Let's just check real quick. The UI size, I guess that's a personal preference type thing. I leave it on. I think the default is small. The smaller it is, the less visible things are, basically. In the VAB, you'll have all the stuff on the side, on the left-hand side, all your parts and all that. And you won't have to scroll through multiple pages to get them, but, you know, it's really not a big deal. It's just personal preference. The debris thing, again, personal preference, but it also does kind of matter for your system. If you have a decent computer, you can leave this wherever it is. If you have a really good computer, you can probably bump it up. Basically, the debris is all the parts and pieces of spacecraft or whatever that are floating around in space or on planets or whatever, you know, things that don't have probe bodies. Actually, I'm not sure if probes and capsules affect that. It might just be debris, like a single piece of debris counts as a piece of something that you'd be able to see and then select and fly to and all that. Don't know if that made any sense. Anyways, whatever, it's not a big deal. Max physics delta time per frame. That I actually am not certain about. Might have something to do with how many frames it skips when the physics engine is going all crazy, as it tends to do. Anyway, definitely worth checking out the inputs here. There's a few things that you might not know about. Like the emergency board. It's freaking backspace. Alright. I had issues with that in one of my previous episodes. But yeah, definitely worth checking all these guys out. The graphics, I leave mine on default, but you can definitely turn it up. Turn up the detail and turn up the quality and all of that. Makes it look a lot sexier, but it also runs a lot slower. Because, yeah, the Unity engine has some issues, let's say that. But still, a great engine for making awesome games, so yeah. And one thing I wanted to talk about here, I know a lot of people are curious as to why, you know, when you're landing on certain places, like if you watch somebody's video, they might have rocks and boulders around, and other videos might not. Well, that's what this is, that terrain scatters, so turn that up and give it a higher density, do whatever you want. Alright, yeah, I think that's about it for the main screen here. So that's the very basics of the game. There's also the check for updates here, but I personally never use that. I haven't transferred my game over to Steam yet, but I don't think I will, honestly. I prefer downloading the latest updates manually, but I do believe they're working on an auto-patching system, or like a patch downloader. Anyways, once you start the game, you have 3 options, I suppose. Don't consider the resume save button. In training, they teach you a few things, actually. I am not sure how much teaching they do. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, let's check that out real quick. I'm curious, because I'll be going into some construction stuff next. Oh, okay, cool. So he does give you little text boxes like this. That's handy. So yeah, little dude tells you how to build rockets. That's cool. That's definitely worth taking a look at, guys. I mean, I'll be going over this myself, and in fact, I might even go through these training scenarios, I guess. Oh, shoot, I didn't mean to double click on that. I might be going through these on my off time just to get some ideas of how to do things, like from a tutorial perspective. So, yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, let's go back. I want to get out of here and show you the scenario screen, which is right here. Pretty cool as well. Kind of like the tutorials, I suppose, but not really. It's more of just like a sandbox game that's been started for you, and it plops you down in a scenario, as scenarios tend to be. So you have a little EVA. Actually, I used the EVA scenario to make the introduction video, or the quick 15-second clip or whatever at the beginning of my KSP series. Impending impact. Oh, cool. And orbits, and space station one is pretty cool as well. It gives you a decent idea of what a station is supposed to look like. Anyway, let's I guess we'll start a new game here. You can resume saved. I've only got the default. That's the one I was using to show off the game, or the new version. I might as well use this as well. So when you start a new game, you can actually pick the flag. I guess that was stupid. Now I gotta go back. You can pick the flag and all that, but you can always change that in game, so not a big deal. And you also have career mode here, which is unfortunately not unlocked yet, but they are working on it, so it should hopefully not be too much longer. I know Squad has said that they're going to be doing lots more smaller updates, so yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing pieces of the career modes trickle into future updates real soon. Alright, so here we go. We have started a new game, I guess. I totally just did air quotes there, and you did not even see them. Alright, so yeah, this is the main screen you'll see when you start a new game. There are, 5 buildings, I guess, that you can use. These two, the runway here, and the launch pad, pretty self-explanatory what they're for. Very handy though, because you can pick whatever craft you've built already, and then select that and go on and do your thing. And if you have a vehicle on the pad or on the runway as well, you can just go to it or clear it or whatever. And then we have the Spaceplane Hangar and the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building. So you build your space planes in here and your rockets in here. Then you got the tracking station, which tracks all the things. So yeah, you have the map here, which you'll be able to access when you're in game as well, like when you're flying a mission. You can look around, new stuff, and handy little info tabs here on the side, depending on whatever planet you want to pick. So there we go. We got Duna now. We got the Mars. We got Jewel. That's Jupiter. So anyways, yeah, some really cool stuff in there. Definitely worth taking a look at as well. It might help with planning things out if you're going to be planning some long-term missions to other planets, other moons, or whatever. It should be pretty good to look at these things. And I'm unsure whether that info pops up in the map view as well, or if it's only the tracking station. It would make sense if it was only the tracking station, because that's, like the main tracking station. Wow, I could not think of a better way to say that. But yeah, it's like the central location for all the scientific data and all that. I don't know. Whatever. Let's jump into the VAB here, because, well, the next part that I'm going to be talking about will be building your first rocket. And I'm actually not going to be doing much of that on camera, because I do want to keep these fairly short, around 15 minutes or so, maybe shorter. But I will quickly talk about what we have in the VAB once you open it up. So first of all, you have a whole buttload of little green Kerbals running around, doing their thing. They're just there for aesthetics. Pretty cool though. You got these guys here. Can I zoom in on them? No, I need to add a part first. I don't think I ever noticed those guys. They're like waving you out. That's cute. Anyways, I'm just gonna delete this so I can start from the beginning. So yeah, when you open up the VAB, before with previous versions, you would have to pick an actual probe or a capsule part to start off with, but now you have more freedom. So whatever's grayed out, obviously you cannot select, but these, for example, you can. So I can start with a big tank instead if I want. Generally, it's best to start with the capsule or the pod, but, you know, it's up to you depending on what you want to build, depending on if you have a clear idea of what you want to build or not. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Let us quickly look around up top here. None of the things up here we can select at the moment other than load a new vehicle. So you can always do that. Let's load Kerbal X. I don't remember which one that is. It's one of the ships that comes with the game. Oh yeah, cool. We got Kerbal X over here. So yeah, let us quickly go over some of the VAB buttons, I suppose. Parts and action groups up here. I will talk about action groups more in depth later on. I'm going to be doing like a tips and tricks type tutorial. Well, there's a lot of T's in that sentence. But yeah, this is how you switch between the two, and action groups are basically hotkeys, so I can say like custom 1, and I can select all of these engines and shut them all down if I wanted once, just by hitting 1 on my keyboard. So yeah, pretty handy there, good to keep track of. And always good when you're, you know, downloading a vehicle that somebody else has made or something. Check the action groups and see what's been set up for you, because chances are those are done in a good order. So then we have the vessel name here, not very important. The mission flag. I'm not sure if the mission flag, like if you change the mission flag, if it also changes the KSB flag, the main flag, or not. I don't know, doesn't really matter. Best thing about flags is, though, that you can make your own, which I have not done yet. Anyways, up here we have a bunch of buttons that don't really matter. I mean, they're all self-explanatory. Make a new ship, load a ship, save your ship, launch your ship, and bugger off. Alright, and what else do we have? Before I talk about the parts, I'm not going to go in depth in of the parts in this episode, but I will quickly mention what the categories are. But before that, I'll talk about just down here. So you see symmetry modes and angle snap. These are really cool if you have multiple pieces of something, for example. So like all these rockets that got put on here, I don't think they were done with symmetry actually, but you could do this by clicking on that 6 times, and you have, or is that 8? That's 8. If you right click, you go back. So you can do a 6 and then get a part, and let's say this part, and then if you want to attach it, bam, you got 6 pieces. So pretty handy, makes things much easier. And then angle snap does an angle snap. As you can see, this is with angle snap. It's like finding a point to snap onto, and this is without. It's all smooth. So there we go. We got that, and then you can check out the center of mass. There's that little ball there. You pretty much want to have that right in the middle. Center of lift, which doesn't really matter for a rocket, much more important for space planes. And then the center of thrust shows you it's going to be thrusting down from right down there. So I mean, these aren't huge. The center of mass is really the most important thing that you're going to be using when building a rocket. I don't really find myself checking the other two too much. Anyways, on the right hand side here we have all the various stages, which don't worry about these for now. I'll talk about these when we're actually building a rocket. And for the last thing in the VAB, we have all the categories. So I'll just quickly go over all the categories and tell you what you can find in each one, and then we'll close it up. So in pods, you basically have all your unmanned probes and your manned probes, and this is what you need to control your craft. So you need at least one of these parts. You also have a really cool chair here, which we can put 6 of on the side, but you can use that for rovers and whatnot. Propulsion should be fairly self-explanatory. It is engines, lots of engines, more engines, kind of a weird order. We have some solid fuel boosters in here as well, and then you have the fuel tanks, and pretty much all of these either are parts that use fuel, have fuel, or yeah, I guess those are the only 2 options. They have it or they use it. So yeah, and then you have fuel lines, which I'll talk about that in another episode, because Basically, they transfer fuel from one part to another, but they have some very cool uses. Under control, we have the SAS modules. Basically, these three are for rockets. This is for a spaceplane, and these are just computer controls, computer assistance, basically. Then you have Rcs Thrusters, which, oh, I forgot what RCS stands for. Dang, I looked it up too before I started this. But yeah, RCS Thrusters are just little thrusters like this that help push you along. They're not meant for, you know, long-term distance travel, but they're good for just quick little movements. Under structural is fairly varied, actually. There's basically, these are the random parts that you use to attach things with. So yeah, and also decouplers. So parts that you can use to attach to other parts, and parts that you can use to detach from other parts. Yeah, that's the most complicated and simple way I could say that. Aerodynamics, we have wings and winglets and all that good stuff for space planes. These are mostly for space planes. You can use some of them for your rockets, but not too many. Utility, just random utilities like landing legs, parachutes, solar panels, and wheels. Just, yeah, like random things that don't really fit anywhere else. And then science is science tools that, well, they don't really do much of anything, but they're, you know, cool to have, I guess, if you want to pretend like you have a proper scientific mission going on or something. Anyways, that'll be basically it for this tutorial, how-to, whatever you want to call it, episode. I don't want to make it too long. It's already a little longer than I wanted, so I will leave it here for now. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I hope I explained everything as well as I could. I'll be trying to keep these fairly basic as well. So anyways, thanks guys, I'll catch you in the next one.